The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Easy Money New England.
Oh, can somebody help us here?
We can, because we are real estate and mortgage professionals.
There you go.
Just come in and browse.
That's right. Come on in, listen up, and learn.
How long do you intend to browse?
In a short period of time, our panel will teach you some tricks that might make your house buying easier.
You don't ask her how long she intends to browse.
You might not be looking for a mortgage today, but we'll get you ready.
You don't look like browsers.
Are you looking?
No, what do browsers look like?
Yeah, maybe I'm half browse.
On his father's side.
This is Easy Money New England
Let's show the lady we're browse.
with your host, Brian
Hey,
D'Amico.
look at us, we're browse. One more word out of you and he gets it, all right? Come on.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Easy Money New England, where every week we bring you money-making opportunities or money-saving ideas all in and around the areas of real estate and real estate industry. Today on our show, we have the president and CEO of NewFed Insurance, LLC. And her name is Lauren D'Amico, actually my sister. And she's been in this business now for roughly 6 years.
Yes.
6 years. So Lauren does a lot of insurance policies, and she's very good at what she does. Customer service wise, really, tough to beat the customer service. So that's why we thought we'd have her on the show and talk about everything insurance. So Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Lauren, right now everyone needs an insurance policy before they buy a house. Correct. So as a mortgage person, NewFed Mortgage, NMLS number 1881. When we ask for an insurance policy, how do you go about that process? You have to ask someone specific questions, and as a mortgage loan originator, license number 2400. That's it for the rest of the show.
Okay.
But as we refer someone over to you, what are you doing to find out? We don't know how you come up with these numbers and these quotes. If I'm a customer driving around right now, what goes into that quote?
So what we'll do when we get a referral is first talk to the client and establish a relationship with them. We want to let them know that we're there to take care of them. Insurance is a tricky thing because you're selling somebody an invisible promise that they're going to be protected no matter what. So we first call them, we try to make a rapport with them, and we have a form, a list of questions that we ask. The names of the people on the mortgage to be on the insurance policy. If they have a dog, there's a certain eligible breeds for certain carriers, so we need to know that right off the bat. If there's a pool in the home, and
Trampoline?
and the like.
What about a trampoline?
Yes, a trampoline is on the list. As long as a trampoline is enclosed,
Oh, it's okay.
it's a lot easier to insure nowadays than it was a few years back. We get their birthday from them, and we'll go to the carriers. There are certain programs you can put it in one time, and it will give you several different carriers' quotes. I don't like to do things that way. I go to each individual carrier to make sure they're getting the proper coverages with each. An insurance score is drawn off of the birthday, so it does take into account some credit, but it doesn't affect your credit by looking at it. If you have any claims, how many claims, where the claims were, how much they were for, and then the insurance carrier will let us know what tier and qualifications that.
So
that
if I had a
client
lot
has.
of, say I had a lot of damage in my house through, say this windy storm, and I put an insurance claim in, is that gonna impact you negatively? Similar to like when you get a car accident, is that gonna impact you negatively?
Every claim will drive the price up a little bit.
Yeah.
The ones that aren't due to any kind of negligence and are more weather related or a little bit more,
Forgiving.
lenient towards you, yes. Sometimes if somebody has a lot of claims, they just require them to have a higher deductible. So once we find out the tier that they're in, and then we go and we do a replacement cost estimator where we put in all the information about the house. So the year it was built, how many bedrooms it has, bathrooms, if the bathrooms and kitchen are like builder's grade or custom, designer. Once we put in all that information, it will give us the replacement cost, which is the cost it will take to replace that house in its entirety.
So that's something we always see in the binder, 100% replacement coverage. And that's like the magic word. You always have to have 100% replacement coverage.
Right.
Okay.
So the thing that's tricky nowadays is the market is so, the market is so high that people are buying houses for more than their replacement cost is.
Right.
So then their loans end up being more than a replacement cost.
So say, name of the show, Easy Money New England. Say we're buying a house in New England and, the house is $300,000. How much coverage, do you cover it for the $300,000? Is that how it works?
Yes. If the house's replacement cost is $300,000, then that's what it gets. I have a tendency, I never like to insure a house without putting an added endorsement on it, which is guaranteed dwelling replacement cost. So if that house is worth $300,000 today and years down the line, something happens and it needs to be replaced in its entirety, what if by then there's inflation and like the nails cost more and wood costs more and roofers cost more and all of that stuff? I want to make sure that that house can still be replaced for what it was prior to the loss.
Gotcha.
So I always add that endorsement, and then on a binder I can put guaranteed dwelling replacement cost. As
Now what about all the contents inside? Does that cover all the contents inside as well as?
Yeah, so once you get a replacement cost on the dwelling, the rest of it is kind of a formula that the insurance company does. It's about 30% for your personal property. So if something happens to your personal property, they will cover you for the amount of your coverage C, which is personal property. But in addition to that, it's always good to make sure that you add an endorsement that you have replacement cost coverage on your
Right.
policy.
So I've seen this happen quite a bit where someone got robbed and they had a bunch of jewelry stolen, but it wasn't covered. Why wasn't it covered? If do you have to have special?
It
coverage?
should be covered up to the limit of your coverage C.
So it's something you want to look at.
Yes. However, if you have very expensive jewelry, you do want to put a rider onto your insurance and insure each piece individually. As long as you give an appraisal, we can do that for you. So we'll add each piece. We have a picture taken of each piece. We keep them on our file. So if anything was to happen, we have it.
Yeah, I think it's important because it's happened personally to me that I didn't have a long time ago before you were in the business, I didn't have the proper coverage. And when things get stolen, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that back. It's unfortunate.
Right. So, and that goes for all of your belongings. So,
Right.
if you were to have a break-in, you want to make sure you have replacement cost coverage and not actual cash value. So, say you had a break-in, someone stole. I always put it to my clients like this because then it's easy to understand. You have a brand new 65-inch 2017 TV. 2019, it gets stolen. If you have replacement cost coverage, they will give you what it will cost to get that same TV in 2019. If you have actual cash value, it takes into effect depreciation, and they'll give you what that 2017 TV is worth in 2019.
So it's important
Like
to
a
keep your
2-year-old
receipts
TV.
and keep good records, keep your receipts. So
And have
that-
replacement cost
and have
on your
replacement
contents.
cost. All right. So say I own this comes up a lot. Say I'm buying an investment property, and I need to get renter's insurance, or is it landlord insurance? How do you figure out what type of insurance you need when you have an investment property?
So if you were to get an investment property, what you'd want is a dwelling fire policy. That will cover the home itself. So it covers the dwelling and anything, involving the dwelling. Then whoever you rent it to, you should always encourage and sometimes,
Demand.
demand them to have renter's insurance. So, a lot of people that I come across, if they have an apartment, they said that they don't need insurance, but renter's insurance is very important because your landlord does not have to replace not a single thing in your unit. So it's all your personal property. And we're talking, if you put in the appliances yourself, we're talking appliances, we're talking your furniture, your clothes, your shoes, your jewelry, your electronics, all of that. The landlord's not responsible for anything.
So that reminds me that kind of it makes sense. Like on a condo, like if I'm buying a condo, I'm going to live there. They have a contents insurance. Is that pretty much the same thing as renter's insurance?
Condo insurance is different because condos will have a master policy and it will cover studs out. Where
Some of them will say all in, and then you'd be covered. But if it's not covered, you need to get that.
you do for your
contents
personal
insurance.
property.
Right. So it sounds like it's similar to like if I'm buying a condo and I want to protect what I have inside the walls, then it'd be it'd be contents insurance.
Correct.
And then if I want to, if I'm renting a place, renter's insurance sounds similar because I'm protecting all my belongings, whereas the landlord's responsible for the rest.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
like if there was a leak in the roof or anything like that, but when it comes to a condo, sometimes you're responsible for a leak in the roof, partly.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit different. And a renter's policy is so small in premium per year. It's a no-brainer to me to always have people have it. And then they also would get a discount on their auto insurance for having renter's insurance because it shows that they're a responsible individual with insurance.
Gotcha. So, you hear, everybody's on the TV, call 15 minutes, save 15%, something like that. I mean, all these companies that are kind of going direct to the consumer, I mean, is it, from my understanding, everyone that I talk to and they go that direction, they're not getting the customer service that they need.
No.
I have friends in the insurance business and you're in the insurance business. And, I know that right down to the point, if I don't pay my insurance on time, you're calling me and you're making your payments for me. I mean, it's getting
Which is every month. Every month.
They don't send me the bills on time. I don't know what to tell you. But, all right, so let's get back to residential real estate. I'm going to buy a home, right? The question that we get the most is, why do I have to pay my insurance up front before I close on the house, right? And how does the escrows work? Because if I'm paying you up front, why do I have to pay for it every month? That's the most common question when it comes to someone buying a house.
Right. So when you originally buy insurance before you're closing on a home, we, the agency, nor the carrier, require it to be paid in full. The bank requires it to be paid in full.
Yep.
So that's kind of on your end. But when it comes to escrow, so I always tell my client, like, did they say they're going to escrow this? And they'll say, I'm not sure. I always tell them, if they give you the option, do it.
Right.
Because it's a very simple process. And when someone's buying a house, they have all these things to do and to think of, and they have a lot of payments to make between moving costs and down payment and all of that stuff. So I just like to make it as easy as
Right.
possible.
So one payment, when they make a payment, it's principal and interest. It's their insurance and their real estate taxes.
Yes.
If it's a condo, the HOA fee would be separate. They make that payment separate. But when you make that principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payment, that's an all-in payment. So every month, a portion of their payment goes to the insurance.
Into their mortgage
and it
payment.
accumulates, and then it pays the agency one lump sum
Yes.
at the end of the year.
Yep. So when we
At
close,
the end of the 12-month period.
right, when we're closing on a home, we'll give the mortgage company a binder. It shows the amount and says that it's due at closing. And then we'll get a check with the binder back like a week to two after closing from the closing attorney. And it's for the insurance payment in full. And then we send it off to the carrier. So it just makes it a little bit easier for the client so that they don't have to pay that lump sum in full at the beginning. So escrow it's very easy. It's very convenient for the client. And then every year the mortgagee gets sent the bill. They make the payment.
They make the payment.
But
So-
it's still very easy to change agencies and carriers if you choose to do so.
Right. You just change.
Yeah, you just call the mortgage company and you send them a deck page and you're good.
And so talk about, how important it is to actually get the closing date right. So, like, for example, if something was supposed to close last week and it's not closing until this week, or the inverse, say it was supposed to close a week later and then it closed a week before, what happens if you're not in the know? I mean, is that house going uncovered for that week?
It's very it's difficult when the mortgage loan officer or the client doesn't let us know that the closing was either pushed up or pushed back. So sometimes I have to chase people, make sure that it closed on time and whatnot.
But as a lender, we want to make sure that house is insured from the day it closed.
It always will be if
Right.
if we're made aware of it. There have been a couple of times I've had to change an effective date later. Like, so they were insured for a week that they didn't own the home.
Right.
And they'll switch the effective date. But to backdate
Can't back.
is a lot harder, and I have to rewrite a policy.
Yeah,
So
right,
I try to make sure that everybody knows that they need to let me know, but usually I find out because they request a new binder with a new date on it. And
Yep.
then that's how I know that it's going to change.
Right. I've heard horror stories, not actually in our company or your company, but I've heard of someone that, she closed on a home and it didn't get to record and the insurance didn't kick in, or something happened. And in the meantime, she had a huge oil spill, and it basically it was been in court back and forth, and it didn't end well. I mean, that's why it's so important that that one day that you're not covered, you got to make sure that you're covered right from the get go.
Right.
That's important. You
And
never have a lapse.
I've seen companies that they'll wait until someone lets them know that it closed on that date and then push the insurance through.
Yeah.
But, we're all subject to human error. And if you miss that date, and something happens, you're going to be on the hook. So I never do that. As soon as they give me a closing date, I push it through. And then if I have to alter the date after, I will. But, I'm more of a better safe than sorry type of person, which is probably why insurance works for me so well.
Right. Insurance
And I've seen things happen that it was never put through when it should have, because it sat on their desk and it got lost. And
yeah, no, it's
not
important to have insurance, obviously.
it's not the proper
I know
way,
you
I
do a
feel.
lot of big umbrella policies. You do, for multiple buildings, and
Yeah, a lot of commercial,
commercial.
insurance, artisan contractors and painters, and PTOs for school we've started doing. And we do a lot of auto.
Yeah, so auto.
But
Let's
one
talk
more
about
home.
auto a little bit, because obviously this is a real estate show, but you can actually get better pricing if you lump in your auto with your home.
Mhm.
What type of savings do you get if you do that?
You can save up to 20% if
20%.
you bundle your home and auto. And then if you have multiple cars, you get a multi-car discount as well as the multi-policy discount. And then on an auto, you also get savings for having homeowner insurance somewhere. So there's a lot of discounts to be had if you're eligible for them.
Yep.
Um,
So if I'm driving around right now and I'm saying to myself, oh, well, I'm in the middle of a process, or I'm going to be buying a home soon, and everyone basically says that, I'm too busy buying the house, I get too much stress, I don't want to talk to my insurance agent. And that happens a lot because, you got to get back to your paperwork to your loan officer or the loan processor,
Right.
and you're always scrambling and trying to get everything done in a short period of time, sometimes a 15-day closing time or 30-day closing time. But take that extra call and talk to the insurance agent, because if you do, if you absolutely take the time and wrap in your automobiles, could be a boat, could be anything, right?
right.
So if you start talking to the insurance agent, think about it as setting it up, because it's every 12 months that's going to renew,
Right.
and you might as well take the time up front as opposed to closing because you're just thinking about the house.
Yeah, there's a lot on someone's mind. So what I usually do is I'll get them the home insurance, and I give, I'll talk to them and say, when it's time for your auto to renew, think about bundling, and I'll give them the discount. And then we send a thank you card to every new customer. So when I send out that handwritten thank you card after, I remind them to send me their auto.
For the auto.
Because
Okay.
I know they're going to give us the auto. Everybody
Right.
wants savings.
They
and
want savings,
that's a
right.
huge way to get savings. And then you don't want to switch an auto policy mid-period anyway. You want to wait until that renewal date, because you get a penalty fee from a lot
Okay.
of auto
So you gotta wait
carriers.
for that
Yeah,
date.
so
Do
you
keep
don't
track
want
of
it
that
done
date for
right
your
away.
customers? Do you
Yes,
keep track of
we
that?
have a management system. We put the date in and we set up reminders to let them know. But at the beginning, I know that it's just too much on their plate to try to get them to send you your auto documents. But if we come close to a quote of another agency when it comes to the home, I tell them, why don't you send me your auto? If I'm saving you a lot on your auto, then it might be a no-brainer on which way to go,
So
which
Mark,
is what I did to one this morning.
right. So give us a couple stories where you've saved people a tremendous amount of money. I've seen some people go through. If I sent them a few people, oh, thank you for setting me up your sister. She saved me, $800 or $700. How are you able to save so much money? Is it through like deductibles, or give me just a testimonial of someone that you were able to save a lot of money for?
So I always try to match what they have currently, apples to apples, for coverages, to let them know. So for instance, I had a guy, and he was a real estate agent, and he came to me, and he had the lowest, he had awful coverage for his cars. If he was to get in an accident, I would be nervous for him. So I fixed it all up, and it's just, a lot of times it's discounts that they're eligible for that they weren't given.
Such as, like, why would you get a discount?
So for
you have a good insurance score. You don't have any.
Yeah, for
claims?
having
Okay.
for having a rental policy somewhere or a homeowner's policy somewhere, for having AAA,
Oh, okay.
and then we also are part of certain affinity groups that we can give discounts for that. And the discounts on a car for the safety features, if it has an alarm or a hood lock and stuff like that. So there's all these things. So I was able to fix up the policy, give him the discounts, and I still saved him $300 a year. And the coverage they were a huge difference.
Right. So you're able to save the money, but also give them better customer service even moving forward.
Right.
Because I know that if someone has an accident, I know someone had an accident recently, and they didn't know what to do. I said, just call Lauren, and you just handle the whole thing.
Yes.
It's much easier than having to call an 800 number and try to find out who you're going to get.
It's a headache.
Yeah.
You don't talk to the same person every time. A lot of my clients, they just call my cell phone. If they got in an accident on a Sunday, they'll call me. They don't know what to do. And I think that's why our customer service excels. It's really important to have that. You want to always talk to the same person. So when you call them, they know who you are. They know what kind of cars you drive. And
will you pay everyone's bill like you do for me too?
No. There's a few. There's a few that
you got my credit card on file.
There's a few we do have to do because they constantly forget, or they don't get their bill. But
give me another testimony, because that person you just talked about saved $300, and I don't know what that is for a percentage wise. But what type of percentages are you seeing that you're saving something? Because let's face it, Geico says that 15 minutes save you 15%. I mean, are you saving around that? I mean, is that like?
Oh yeah, and those savings that they get once you see the policy, they don't have enough coverage.
Right.
So even if I can't beat someone's quote, I'll be like, you are underinsured here, here, and here. Have them add that.
Yeah.
And then see where you come out, because, even if it's just to give someone advice and make sure they're covered properly, I would want to do that for someone.
So again, if you're driving around and you're saying, you know what, I'm guilty as charged. I never look at my insurance policies, and I probably should. And it's good that I was able to send all my policies to you, because you can kind of see.
I look at them.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want that same type of service, get your policies, send them over. How can they reach you, Lauren?
Our office is in Peabody, Massachusetts, right on Central Street. And our phone number over there is 781-241-1224. We have a website, www.newfedinsurance.com. We're on Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're pretty much everywhere.
So New Fed Insurance. So, Lauren gets this question a lot, like, New Fed Insurance, is it the same as New Fed Mortgage? Well, the question is really no. She does a lot of business outside of our companies, and it's really her gig. So what we're doing is, making sure that people understand that this isn't just an in-house insurance company. It actually she has a lot of clients from outside of the company, and give her a shot. If you could save your customers money, if you're a loan originator listening to this, or a real estate broker, there's no there's no intertwining here.
No.
So, all right, Lauren. So, getting back to homeowners coverage, what are some of the most common things that you see people are calling you and saying, "Hey, I got damage," or I need help? Because I'm sure there's a lot of customer service involved in your business. What seems to be the biggest headaches for people?
Car accidents. But homeowners. Recently, it's been trees falling. We had those few days, a couple weeks back, with the wind, trees fell all over the place. I was shocked. So we've had trees fall on roofs.
Hit on roofs?
Trees fall on their car, and they don't know if their homeowners covers it or their auto.
Yep.
But several, about the trees falling. And then we also, when it's winter, we get the ice dams, which are the dreaded part of the winter for us. So that's mainly what we see.
What's an ice dam? Because everyone keeps telling me I got ice dam damage, and I find myself signing checks because they send the check, and not just your mortgage company, your insurance company, but they send it from other companies, and I got to sign a check over from the mortgage company, and they always say, I had big ice dam damage. What is an ice dam?
So an ice dam, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a lot of snow. It could be like 1 to 2 inches of snow. But what it is it'll be on one part of your roof, and that part of the roof will get warm, and it trickles down to a colder part of the roof, and then it refreezes. So I've seen people get a lot of damage from them. Certain things can prevent them if you constantly make sure that the roof is clear of snow.
Yeah.
I don't recommend people
Going up on the roof
risking
when
their
it's-
spinal cords by getting on the roof or anything. But if you have like a smaller, a lower to the ground house, you could use a roof rake. People are out in force that you can hire during the winter to get it off the roof.
It's like they sell roof rakes, right? Is
Yeah.
that right?
So those are pretty good. I used that at a previous house that I owned. That was, a 1-story, so it was easy to get to. They also have the cables that you can put on your roof to the ice melting
Oh, the
cables.
melting cables, yeah.
And then attic ventilation and attic insulation really helps with the ice dams, because if you don't have enough insulation, that's when it gets warm and then it goes down and then it gets cold again. So that's what happens. It's not a gutter problem. People sometimes think it's a gutter problem, but it's coming from the roof. So what happens is you can get a lot of damage because the exterior of the home can get damaged and then it will leak inside. So
Right, I've seen some big checks that,
Yeah.
It creates a lot of damage.
So I used to live in a condo complex, and we had ice melting cables and everything, but we all still got ice dams. So I had gotten roof damage. Down that wall was water coming in. My windowsills got ruined. My carpet got damaged underneath. And then I saw people that their their ceilings were very bad and, leaking right down onto their beds. It was in that part of the house. So I have seen extensive damage firsthand from ice dams.
When someone does get a lot of damage, and I'm not sure if this is kind of up your alley, but I mean, how important is it for an insurance adjuster? I mean, I see signs and billboards, insurance adjuster, blah, blah, blah. I mean, is it important for them to kind of go in and make sure that they're writing up the invoices and know the exact damage before they go to the insurance company?
Well, yeah, the adjusters are important, but they'll come out because the insurance companies, back in 2014, that was the year we got hit real bad with the ice dams. I think they paid out about $1 billion in insurance claims that year just for ice dams.
That was for ice dams. Yeah.
So they'll come out. So what they were doing was they'll pay for the damage of your house, but they wouldn't pay to have the ice dams removed. You would have to get that done yourself. So since then, a big carrier in the industry was trying to get ice dam deductible put on a homeowner's policy in Massachusetts. It didn't get passed by the Division of Insurance, but it was looked upon, like back, when Hurricane Andrew hit, I think it was.
Yeah.
They had paid so much in damage that they have a hurricane deductible.
And what people don't know, if you're in process to get a mortgage and the state says it declares it as a state emergency, I mean, you have to go back out and appraise the property before you close to make sure there's no damage. I mean, that's the worst thing we see. I hope they don't declare it a state emergency because then we have to reappraise everything. And that happens a lot in Florida. It happens, probably Texas that just had their, I don't want to say it's good that we didn't have it here. I mean, but it's good we didn't have it here.
Right. And the ice dams, they affect your insurance score too. So if you have a winter related claim, so if you wanted to switch insurances, a lot of them won't take you now if you had a winter related claim within the last 2 years.
Wow.
So those ice dams they make your premium go up and then they kind of stop you from being able to go other places. But they're preventable. So people just have to, learn more about them so that they can prevent from getting.
And the winter months is pretty much when you see a spike in car accidents too. Icy roads.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're all the time.
They're all the time.
But they are a little more prevalent when it's icy.
So what's going to happen when they have self-driving cars? Is that going to hurt your business?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about those yet. I feel like you can't trust a machine, but at the same time, you can't trust a lot of people that are out there driving either. So.
There you go. So hopefully I'll have a self-driving car soon. So just kind of wrapping up, I mean, Lauren works, again, President and CEO of New Fed Insurance. You should be reached at 781-241-1224.
Mm-hmm.
Our email's ldemico at newfedinsurance.com. And, kind of treat her like you would an insurance expert and say, look, just take a look at this. I know that's what I do, and it works out well. I make sure I have enough coverages that you need. Without having to sacrifice customer service, because the last thing you want to think about is when you do have a loss, you want to be able to call your insurance agent and say, hey, what do I do? And it's very good to know that you have an insurance agency that cares about their customers. And as all of our businesses are getting commoditized, there still is a huge positive impact when you can still deliver customer service. Whereas in this world of commoditization, you just don't get it anymore. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, Lauren, do you have any closing things you want to add?
No, as the holiday season approaches, I beg you all, don't deep fry your turkeys at your house. It's very dangerous for your
Deep fried
house.
turkeys.
People do it. They deep fry their turkeys.
They start fires?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
start really, because they're very difficult and like,
I don't know. I saw a deep fryer for French fries, and I'd say deep fry them because it was awesome.
I mean, like a big deep fryer. People put them on their porch and drop the turkey in and the whole thing. Look it up on YouTube.
I've seen that with a. Oh no, that was a pig. That was a pig roast, and you poke
Oh,
at
that's
it, and it
different.
squirts the juice, and it burns you. Same thing?
Outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like in your house, in your garage, on your deck, on your
Don't
porch.
deep fry on your
Don't
deck.
deep fry your turkey. Just go way out in the
What about your
yard.
garage? Can you do it in your garage?
I wouldn't.
All right. Well, it's good.
YouTube video them and watch the disasters.
Well, there's a closing argument right there. Take a look at
Yes.
YouTube and look at deep. Don't deep fry your
Don't
turkey.
deep fry your turkey.
But all I know is it tastes a lot better deep frying. I've had it a couple times. It's great.
Do it at someone else's house.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on our show, Lauren. I know it took me a couple weeks to get you here.
Yeah.
And till the next time, like we like to say, no such thing as easy money. But if there is, give us a call.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.